Hey everyone, it's Funbot28 here, and for today's video, I wanted to start off a new series, basically called the OMCast, which is basically like small casts, like podcasts on Smogon. But I wanted to do them for other metagames, and for the first other metagame that I wanted to discuss with a few other players is Balance Hackmons. So I'll let these players introduce themselves.
Hello, I'm Useless Crab. I'm a room moderator in the Other Metas room on Showdown and site staff on Smogon, but you may know me better for unleashing horrible sets like Galvanized Groudon on the
Yeah.
world.
What's up? I'm Akios. I'm just your resident lucky and bad ladder player. Hey, Lamau. Electrolyte, you there?
Yeah, hey, I'm Electrolyte. I've been around for a very long time. I've been playing competitive Pokemon for about 4 years now. I've been in BH for around 1 2 years, and I enjoy running unconventional sets.
Nice.
I'm Mamp, the champ.
No
Solid
other words
introduction.
needed.
Alright, well, I guess fun.
So yeah, the first topic I wanted to discuss with all you guys is basically like current. There's a current suspect test going on, basically involving CVZs, which are basically crystal-free Z moves, like moves such as 10,000 Volt or like Genesis Supernova. So yeah, I want to hear you guys' thoughts on those Z moves.
Well, personally, I think they need to go, and they need to go immediately. And the main reason for that is there's very little synergy involved when you put these movement-specific Pokemon, non-specific really. You can put Genesis Supernova on any sweeper and have it suddenly become impossible to revenge kill, or you can randomly run Stoked Spark Surfer, and things that switch in will have a 25% chance of not doing anything. And so all in all, I think they're really obnoxious.
Yeah, they're really strong for like zero drawback. Like VCrit at least has stat drops and a chance to miss. These are sort of just like, hey, I'm gonna click this button. There's 100% chance to hit, and you're probably gonna die.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the power to drawback ratio, right? The only thing that really holds them back is the PP. But in the case of most of these attacks, you really only need to use them once max per Pokemon, so they serve their purpose anyway. And it doesn't take up that much of a slot because like you can have one coverage move to handle like one certain threat, and then like the rest of your set can just be run as normal.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I really don't like the power boost it gives offensive mons. It really like defensive mons really can't catch up to the power of these Z moves. It's really just a pain to deal with on like certain balance install teams, and yeah, I just feel like it's almost on bar with like Protein on how it kind of centralizes the metagame towards offensive playstyles, pretty much.
Yeah. Well, what I don't like is like how easily they can use to lure things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Like the like I've lost way too many games to like Mega Gengar's like 10,000 volt Thunderbolt.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I know.
And I think also what Electrolyte was saying about the PP not being as much of an issue is especially true with the Deoxys attack spam archetype that's become extremely common.
That everyone loves.
Just lost to it yesterday. Still haven't quite figured out how to beat it, alas.
Oh yeah, who was
Yeah.
it that posted on the was it you, Electrolyte, that oh no, it was Wishes, wasn't it? It was
A whole
it
bunch
was
of people.
Yeah,
Pikachu-
everyone's
Pikachu-
spamming it on the
Spam.
suspect.
Yeah, and they just went basically flawless, and they'd never played before. It was
Yeah, I mean
crazy.
it's just busted.
Yeah.
But I know
It's-
some
it's a-
people. Oh, go ahead.
Deoxys attack is at 80% usage in the usage stats, by the way.
Oh my
God.
But yeah, I know that some people mention like only banning specific Z moves. Let's say Genesis Supernova and let's say like 10,000 Volt. What's your guys' opinion on that? Do you think they should all be banned or just like specific Z moves?
I personally think, well, they're all okay. Like some of them are like less broken, like Pulverizing Pancake, I guess. But the best thing to do would be to get rid of all of them, I think. I don't know. It's just
Yeah, I think it would be
Yeah,
kind of
same.
strange if we just let like Sinister Arrow Raid kind of stick around with all the other ones gone.
Yeah, same. They're all pretty broken in my eyes.
Yeah, and I also feel like there's some practical aspect to the fact that we can't or don't have like the time to go through each and every specific one and decide, oh, is this one broken? Like they're all pretty generally overpowered, so it's pretty
Yeah.
like collectively group them together as, crystal freezy moves.
True. Okay, so another suspect that a lot of people have been bringing up and has been causing a lot of problems lately is water bubble, specifically on powerful hitters such as like Primal Kyogre and like Ash Greninja. So, like, what are you guys' thoughts on water bubble?
Well, I think my thoughts on the subject are pretty well known at this point. Yeah, I really hate water bubble more than pretty much anything that's existed in BH for a long, long time. Mostly because of how specific a defensive Pokemon you have to run or to check it. You've either got to have a Water Absorb Fairy type because of Core Enforcer canceling out Desolate Land, Water Absorb, and etc. Or an Assault Vest Regenerate Pokemon that also resists. So that's an item, ability, and typing slot necessary.
Like Mega Gyarados, Assault Vest, Regen.
Yeah, like I
or
mentioned
Dialga.
last time, when Regen Vest Dialga becomes a thing.
Yeah.
Regen Vest Dialga is pretty good though. Like it beats Deoxys spam too.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Mewtwo
Like, I'm not
sets.
denying that, but like you usually like last gen was sort of like offensively, pretty much like Mega Gyarados.
Yeah.
And
And now they're forced to run like defensive sets now, which is kind of interesting.
True.
Yeah.
True. Oh wow.
Yeah,
it's very
to me,
peculiar.
But, like-
to me, it's very centralizing. I mean, if you don't have like a water immune or like a water resist on your team, like you absolutely get destroyed. Same thing goes for psychic types now, but like I find water bubble even more because like it's really like an insane power boost, almost in like comparison to like huge power, pure power, like really just boosts water moves to insane levels for defensive mons to handle. And yeah, I feel should be banned as well.
Yeah, like the fact that you're forced to run random abilities like Water Absorb is really not cool. Because stuff like Audino would probably be running like Unaware or Fur Coat than Water Absorb, but that's another thing.
Yeah, I've been trying like in vain to run sets that can vaguely take advantage of Desolate Land. Like besides like Desolate Land, like Mega Diancie and stuff to use Magma Storm and Trap Steel types of things, but that's just such a fundamentally terrible idea.
Yeah, it's like a niche option to deal with such like a centralizing thing, right? So
yeah, and even then the coverage moves.
Yeah, they like water bubble mons. They usually let's say they run, let's say like you mentioned, Core Enforcer to bypass Desolate Land. So it's like really it's becoming more and more hard to actually find answers to these Pokemon, and which is why like I feel it should be banned.
Yeah, and a lot of them, like especially Primal Kyogre, are just strong enough to like, for example, if you do choose to run like something that's like a fairy type that's immune to water, right? A lot of them can just run coverage and also like smash you equally as hard. And this is especially the case for like Primal Grappa because it gets 2 KO'd by Ice Beam. So it's really like it's hard to find checks these days.
Yeah.
No, it really is. But like
The most.
Okay,
the
so
most annoying
another.
coverage.
Wow.
But
Ah,
the
okay.
most annoying
So
coverage
like
would be
another
Guardian
interesting,
Horde.
another controversial topic. Wait. Okay. So yeah, another interesting topic that's also been annoying a lot of players as of late is the whole concept of combo phasing, which is basically using comatose with like sleep talk phasing moves such as like combo phasing, Dragon Tail, Mega Rayquaza, and stuff like that. So like, what are your guys' opinions on combo phasing?
Yeah, that is just a little ridiculous because the amount of like team building that you have to put in to take advantage of that strategy, right? It really only takes one Pokemon for you to be able to use it, but what you get out of that is worth far more than what you have to sacrifice because Coma Phase makes it so that during the battle, your opponent always has to be like ready to counter it and ready to like respond to any switch-ins that like a with this user would ever possibly have. So it's just, it makes battles wildly unfair, and it's really centralizing, and it removes a lot of the skill from the game because it's just blind clicking.
Yeah.
As someone who lost a tour battle to a Coma Phase Rayquaza, I can agree. But,
yeah, like
yeah. Matt, what do you
I
have
find
to say
just.
about it?
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
There.
that game really shows, the one against Wax Lapras really does show that you don't even necessarily need hazard support if you're against a certain archetype of team.
Yeah, you really don't.
No. Like I know a lot of people like they try to focus on like they say that people they build like combo phasing teams and that's the main purpose is just to combo phase, but it's not the case sometimes because you could have like a regular team and just have like one combo phasing mon, and then that mon will just like sweep through the rest of the team like late game, and which is why like I know E4 Flint posted a set for like Prankster and Grain Pass Aegis Slash in the forums, but even that, it's like so niche and it's like really just specific just to beat like this one strat. Like I don't find it's worth it just to keep it in this metagame. If we have to resort to those type of strategies to beat it.
And honestly, most like scary version of Coma Phase is when it's actually just used in a team that is otherwise like self-sufficient on its own, because of the fact that it can you can literally just catch your opponent at almost any time and deal like a massive amount of damage, or like just grab like a whole bunch of momentum back with basically no reparations whatsoever if they don't like put or invest like a lot of effort into countering you in the team stage. So
yeah. So another topic that I wanted to talk about is the whole idea of like priority blocking abilities. So let's say like Psychic Surge, Queenly Majesty. I forgot the name of the other one. Dazzling. Yeah. A lot of people are calling those broken as well due to like specific mons, let's say like the Deoxys attack, abusing those abilities due to it alleviating a former counterplay to them in priority. And a lot of people are complaining about that because those mons could use like setup sets, let's say Focus Sash, Shell Smash, Deoxys A with Psychic Surge, and could really just sweep teams without any counterplay for the opponent. So what's your guys' opinion on that?
I think they're broken as hell. Like it just like with Sunsteel Strike and Moongeist Beam especially, it's like really limits the counterplay to set up. Like for offense teams especially.
No, they're really broken. Well, I don't. Psychic Surge at least is pretty broken. Like Dazzling and Queen of Majesty, they're still alright, in my opinion. But like I can see them becoming broken once the more patently broken things are removed, I guess.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, because if we saw last gen, like 8s were like almost everywhere, and we needed an 8 clause, right? Because like spamming them would be just too much. But like now this gen, even though there was the 8 nerf, the power nerf from like 1.3 to 1.2, these abilities really just counterplay using 8s in general, just like, and like, because if you would use an 8 mon, like you would basically give free setup for, let's say, Deoxys A just to sweep, so it's not worth it as much. Like 8s are still used, but not as much as in Generation 6, and I think it's mainly due to these abilities.
No, that's true.
And not just 8s, but also Triage has been significantly
Triage,
like I've said a couple times in the forums, I'm not really sure if it's a broken kind of relationship, but it might be. Just because especially triage sets that rely on multiple triage boots and moves, like the Oblivion Wing, Drain Punch, Shell Smash, Mega Ray I've been seeing.
Yeah. But that's the thing. So, like, if we do decide to suspect and eventually ban these abilities, it might create room for abilities such as 8s and Triage to dominate once again. So it's interesting, but you would only, like, we can only see this once those abilities do get banned. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But I definitely feel that Psychic Surge is suspect already. That's insane. Yeah.
It is. Yeah. I feel like a lot of it is because the reason why it's better than Dazzling and Queenly Majesty is because the effects can exist past just one Pokemon, and you also get that side like psychic boost in power, which is really potent against a lot of walls. And it can allow your sweeper to like break through or on a good switch in. And, yeah.
Yeah.
So
But like, I mean, Psychic
I get-
Surge basically makes like full, like 3 Psychic Pokemon, 1 Wall, and a Chansey a thing, and it
Yeah.
actually works.
Yeah.
Which is stupid.
yeah.
I mean, everything that Electrolyte said is true, but Dazzling and Queenly Majesty do have their own distinct advantage. I'm not sure a lot of people think about, which is not revealing their existence right away.
True. I've been
Yeah.
lured out so many times due to that. Yeah.
Like the other day, I was playing this person who had Dazzling Belly Drum Regigigas. So like I went to Imposter on it.
Amazing.
I went to Imposter on it, and I tried to click E-Speed, and then I just died to close combat.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's another thing I didn't think about. It's true. Yeah. So okay, I guess to move on from that, the primals were unbanned this generation. They were banned last gen, but now they were banned to be tested again. And again, a lot of people have been complaining about their existence in this metagame and are also calling for those to be banned. So what are your guys' thoughts on the primals reintroduction to the meta?
I think it's really hard to say whether Primal Kyogre's broken, like, because like its only really relevant set at the moment is Water Bubble.
Yeah, that's what I was mentioning. Yeah.
I mean,
like-
you've been using Poison Heal.
The Water Bubble's the broken element there. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been using Poison Heal, which is still pretty good, but
Yeah.
not as good as it would be because everyone's still running water absorb stuff.
But that's what I mentioned in the forums, right? Because I find Water Bubble kind of like restricts what sets. I mean, they do run other sets, but like, because like Primal Kyogre is like the main abuser, and Primal Groudon is like a pretty common like counter to Water Bubble Mons. So it's like, for me at least, to see if they're actually broken, I would rather ban just Water Bubble first, and then we'll see from there if they're suspect worthy, which I think they are. But so yeah, I find that Water Bubble should be dealt with first before we go to primals, at least in my opinion.
I think the primals they're healthy right now, I guess. They're not, like I mentioned, I think in the recording that failed. I mentioned that like Groudon's already becoming pretty unpredictable in terms of what
Yeah.
it can run.
Yeah,
Like
for sure.
I
I
mean,
mean-
it wasn't ORS as well.
yeah, like
I mean, you can
it's
It's
just,
just why it was as broken as it was.
yeah, like you mispredict once
interesting.
and that's it.
It's interesting how the generational shift affected Primal Groudon because, okay, on one side you've got Zygarde complete on basically every at least bulky offense-ish team, which
Pretty
is
much.
probably the best wall for Groudon we've seen in a while. But then you've also got new sets coming up like Stakeout, which obviously deals with Zygarde extremely well.
Yeah.
And I mean, I just saw Technician Frost Breath get posted.
Oh
in the
yeah,
trade.
Lax just posted that now. It looks pretty cool. Yeah.
That thing botted me in. Wait, is that Technician Frostbreath Groudon? Or
Yeah.
Yeah, with Boomerang or Boomerang.
yeah, that thing botted me like round 1. It's really good.
Yeah, it looks pretty good.
Yeah, and
so
I-
I find
The fact that like Zygarde being there, I don't even see it as restricting Primal Groudon that much because like Zygarde is just so like prevalent that everyone brings like 2-3 counters to it like on their team. Like you probably can't survive like without a Zygarde counter even if you're not using Groudon.
Yeah.
So I found it pretty easy to play around. Not even like making Groudon itself like Zygarde proof, which is also really possible. Like Choice Band Ice Hammer does like a shit ton to any Zygarde that's not like fully defense
Fur
invested.
coat, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and like not everyone can afford to run Fur Coat Zygarde, and when you do, you lose out to other threats that Zygarde is typically used to beat,
True,
which are
true.
like more, you know, specially attacking tanks. So
Yeah.
I think it has a potential to be broken. In terms of Kyogre, I think less so because it's a little less like immediately offensive capable, but Groudon I think definitely is a contender for a suspect.
Yeah, and I find this is a good segue into talking about Zygarde Complete because again, people have been mentioning that it's broken in itself due to how it centralizes the metagame and how it's nigh mandatory on bulky offensive teams. But in my opinion, it's not. I find it centralized the metagame in a healthy way due to it checking being like a blanket check to so many threats that in Gen 6 was kind of hard to account for all these threats. But with Zygarde C, it kind of alleviates that problem for more defensive teams due to its Titanic bulk only rivaled by, let's say, like Evila Chansey. So like I don't know, and the fact that like many offensive threats are now running ice coverage that deal with Zygarde Complete, I don't think it's too centralizing in the point of it being like suspect worthy.
Yeah, and Zygarde is an interesting kind of Pokemon in the fact that it's true that it's really bulky, but the 4 weakness to ice really, really limits it. And it
True.
also, aside from its gigantic HP stat, right, its offenses are just average. So it's like most of the top tier threats in the metagame can afford to take a hit from Zygarde if they need to. So of course it can wall a lot of things, but it doesn't really have, or in the sets that we've seen so far, it doesn't really have any immediate like ways to counter the threats that it's usually supposed to face, aside from just like tanking hits or dealing chip damage or preventing setup. All of which are like really important in the metagame, so that's why I'd like to see Zygarde there, but it doesn't really do like anything else to that to severely restrict offense. I think I agree with you. It's a good Pokemon to have in the metagame.
Yeah.
It's a really good
Yeah,
defensive Pokemon.
The thing about ice coverage too is like ice coverage is even bad like outside of hitting Zygarde. Like it hits Giratina and Mega Ray and stuff. So like
Yeah, it's not like you're running you're going out on an out of the way to like run ice coverage because like you mentioned it does ice offensively is pretty good, especially in balanced Hackmons with where there's like a lot of dragons. So like I don't know, I find it's okay in that regard.
And I also feel like people tend to overestimate the amount of different things that Zygarde can do at once. Like as I said earlier, like if you choose, it's hard for Zygarde to um, handle both physically defensive and especially attacking Pokemon at the same time. And I find that a lot of people that like try to stretch it too thin end up like having massive like holes in their team just because they can send it out against everything. When in reality, it's hard to handle things and offer like some kind of offense back without just being worn down really, really quickly.
True. So I guess moving on from that, we could start talking about, let's say, like metagame threats in general, like in this metagame stuff that you should account for, and like while team building that you should run on your team, or which you should account for when, facing. So you guys have any like key metagame threats or like trends that you want to mention right now when team building for Paladin Sackmons?
I guess water bubble is something you should always have a check for, because Scar Spout like destroy teams otherwise.
Yeah, and with some other offensive threats, like this is something actually we were talking about when we were trying to make the viability rankings. Some things you can prepare for just in the course of making your team, but water bubble just steamrolls things that we had previously held up as like the best specially defensive walls in the metagame, like Assault Vest Regenerator, Registeel, Assault Vest Regenerator, Zygarde Complete. These things get 2-hit KO'd by specs.
Yeah.
So it's really hard.
And also been like I know Regen Vest steals are like really, really common now as they're really good answers to psychics. So I find like steals in general this generation due to their ability to not wall, but at least check certain psychic type mons. Those are good to count on any team really.
Yeah, Solgaleo is quite good right now because it can handle some Psychic Surge. It can handle some Dio spam as long as you don't get too close to a Soul Stealing 7-star Strike user.
Or Moongeist Beam,
Yeah, and also Comatose sometimes runs Soul Stealing 7-star Strike because it's not called that talk. So you got to watch out for that when you're using Solgaleo.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I find like Mega Gyarados is really good and Dialga right now compared to
Oh, I love using both of those mons, They're really, really good.
Like Sogela is really nice for that 4 times psychic resist, but the other two have really good resistances for coverage.
True. Yeah, especially Dialga for water and Mega Gyarados too for water. It's really nice as also another check to Water Bubble.
Yeah.
So I like running that.
That's true, and I've even run both those things on the same team before, honestly.
Yeah, they're really just good. Like Regenvest in general, like last generation, it was like people did use, let's say, Regenvest, Registeel and stuff like that. But I find in this generation, just due to the power creep of special attackers, with the aforementioned abilities, Regenvest just rise in popularity and viability as well.
Yeah, speaking from my own experience with CNC and stuff, like we barely put a Self-Vest regenerator on any analyses last generation. Yeah, it started out as kind of a Kyogre thing in very early XY.
Yeah.
And it's just had experienced this huge resurgence because of a whole bunch of things, including Psychic Surge and even Sheer Force. Mega Mewtwo Y needs to be checked by a Self-Vest regenerator too.
Yeah. And another suspect that I forgot to mention here that we could discuss as well is the innards out and how it like kind of like slows down the pace of certain games and like how it kind of skews matchups in a sense. So what are you guys' opinions on innards out?
Innards out is weird. Like it's really annoying, but at the same time, like it's very rarely going to do anything better than a 1-for-1. And I don't know. I feel like it's pretty easy to play around.
Oh, what do you think about innards out on offensive Pokemon? Like, let's say you run innards out slacking or something like that.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting. I tried a team like that last week where I was doing like a Shell Smash Giratina Origin with like clanging scales and stuff to try to get killed. And what I ended up finding was that even with 0 IVs, those sorts of things are too bulky to just get one shot by everything.
Yeah. I mean, the most common one is like Chansey, obviously, on like DO spam teams. A lot of people opt to run, let's say, like one innards out Chansey. But like, I don't know. I mean, you can like go around it, let's say, by just chipping Chansey down so it doesn't take out too much health, right, out of your Mon after KOing it. And like, I don't know. I don't know if it's suspect worthy, but I have to admit it's pretty annoying at times to deal with.
Well, I think whether or not it's broken really depends on the metagame, because if there are certain like threats that are so strong that like having the ability to trade 1-for-1 could be like really situationally useful. Like for example, right now against Dio spam, right, most people can only afford to run like one dedicated counter, and if you play the 1-versus-1 like exchange correctly, then you can just easily take out like their only defense and then sweep through them, right? But like ideally in an otherwise balanced metagame, like the 1-for-1's impact is definitely a lot less. So I feel like we have to wait and see whether like the rest of the metagame can balance out. But also personally, I don't really like innards out because I think it doesn't really promote good team building or like good like predictions. But
yeah,
I think it's not like inherently broken. It's just a shitty thing to run.
Yeah, because I know people drew the comparison with Prankster Destiny Bond last generation, which I can't see, but like with innards out, like you don't have to rely on the prediction on using Destiny Bond. It's just inherently in the ability to like KO them on.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
I don't know.
It's really cool.
Because
actually.
Because I know people like they're scared to attack the Chansey, right? So I've seen a lot of innards out Chansey now running Final Gambit just to.
Oh god.
It kind of does the same thing, right? So like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's really gross.
That would be really irritating because a lot of what I rely personally to deal with innards out Chansey is like weak U-turns from stuff and rapid.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
And I do not want to think about facing that on the ladder.
Use multi-hit because that sometimes works, but
that's a good point. I forgot about that.
I don't like that because I feel like otherwise those moves are pretty useless.
Well, that's actually an interesting metagame trend overall as well. Is there's been a huge proliferation of multi-hit moves because of all the sash dazzling stuff, and of course the sashes on Dio spam.
Yeah, usually on Pheromosa, Scarf Pheromosa runs like multi-hit moves.
Yeah, the fact that people are running Scarf Pheromosa, I think, says a lot about
Scarf also
Yeah,
would
that's
beat
true.
up
Yeah.
Oh my
Hackmons.
god. Arrow 8 spike cannon, Pheromosa.
Oh. But
Or Dragon
so I also
Ascent
want.
sometimes too. But that's sort of
Yeah,
like
yeah,
OP.
yeah. I want to ask you guys: is there like any underrated sets or like dark horse mons that you feel like talking about that a lot of people underrate that you guys find really good?
If the forum is to be
I think
believed, apparently Toppy Coco.
Yeah.
Yes. No, but I don't think there are any like, Pokemon specifically that are underrated right now, but there are definitely like sets on specific Pokemon that are underrated. Like I still feel like 8 spam is really strong. Just like
Yeah.
firing off
Yeah.
Moonburst, like even if you don't rely on priority, like it's still like a really good wall breaking strategy. And there are plenty of different sets that like are no longer used as much, but like 8 Mega Ray is still like incredibly powerful and definitely
Yeah, for
needs
sure.
considered when moving.
For me, something
Yeah,
that's...
and like
Oh, sorry, carry on, Mamp.
I was just gonna say, like, people aren't like people don't bring 8 checks as much.
Yeah, exactly.
No, yeah.
Oh,
I think
Because
that was
there's so
basically
much
how I
there's just
got.
not room for it.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
There's so much
That's
other
basically
stuff
how-
to prepare for. It's hard.
That's basically how I got Rex, is just by using a team where I would systematically eliminate like Mega Diancie checks if there were any, and then spam Boom Burst repeatedly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Also, some things I've actually seen on in dailies, I think that seems pretty cool. Is knockoff plus purify for toxic orb users.
Yeah, I've
It's
seen that
it's-
too. Yeah.
quite
it's a cool
underrated because it's really cool, and you don't see it outside
Yeah.
of sort of like those types of things.
And if you're feeling extra spicy, you can run Z Purify and get a +1 boost to all of your.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah.
I was actually
It's definitely a
legitimately
lot better
gonna
than,
run
it's
that.
definitely a lot better than knockoff plus entrainment natural cure. Which
Oh,
is
that's
what I
true.
lost.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I built recently a baton pass team with Sugar High, and I find like it's cool like because the new introduction to like Sunsteel Strike and Moongeist Beam for the receivers to like bypass unaware mons. So like I find that so cool like strat tool that I feel is pretty underrated at the moment. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that does sound pretty cool actually.
I'm gonna see what else I've been using. I was trying to build a Kangaskhan Mega team because I thought that would be cool with
yeah.
we're
Oh,
using
that
multi-hit.
Oh,
yeah,
I
yeah.
have one of
I
those.
saw that on the ladder. Yeah.
Yeah.
Surprisingly effective.
Kangaskhan Mega just destroys stall teams, man. It's insane.
It's so good
Yeah,
versus
I still haven't
Stall.
figured out
The
like
problem is that stall teams don't exist at the moment. So
that's a
There's
good
only,
point. I mean,
there's
besides
only fun
fun bots, yeah.
But my team's not that great after because I built it before comma phasing became such a huge thing, and now it's not that relevant right now. So I don't know.
Oh, the only thing to do is to build a new one.
And a cool metagame trend and also an underrated thing is it's just normal types with offensive moves. I mean, it's never been like outside of the meta entirely because of the Spectral Thief immunity.
It's true.
Yeah.
I forgot to talk about that spectral shape. Yeah.
Yeah, and with so many Pokemon just randomly running Spectral Thief, it's nice to have a Poison Kill Regigigas or whatever.
Actually, did you
Yeah,
guys
that
see
thing.
Yeah.
that normalized Regigigas set on the forums the other day? The one with Spectral Thief?
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's
I've seen that.
That's hot.
That was funny. And I was
It's like a
talking about
nice
this.
meme.
Yeah, I was talking about this on the OM Discord recently, but like you can run Z move because they're unaffected by normalize, or you can run a Z crystal and turn your normalized V create into a Inferno Overdrive and hit steel types.
Yeah, that's really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm waiting
I
for
did that
someone
with
to use it.
Moongeist Beam and Arceus too.
Mm.
Yeah.
Maybe someone should
Um,
pass it to Pikachu so they use it in finals.
You have to contact Quantum's Terrasac for that Pikachu teams.
Oh yeah.
But yeah,
Another-
I find setup normals in general are just a lot better this generation, just due to it bypassing Spectral Thief. Because Spectral Thief is such a good move. I remember at the beginning, I didn't even know it bypassed Substitute, so I would like use Sub on my setup sweepers because I thought it would bypass it. But then I realized the hard way that it does bypass Sub, and I was like, wow, okay, it's a pretty strong counterplay to setup mons.
Yeah. And it just like makes
Another
you have to think twice before you decide to set up on something, because like you never know, someone's gonna pull it out, and you're gonna have to like scrape up some kind of like counter offense in order to deal with their like +6 like Reggie Steele now.
Yeah, because it doesn't even steal the stat drops. It only steals the stat boost. It's like really, really strong. You know.
Yeah.
So I guess for our last topic to touch on is just balance Hackmons in tournaments. Like I know OMGS, which is like other metagames Grand Slam, is coming up pretty soon. So how do you guys think the meta will develop during the tournaments? You know, and what do you think people will be running and stuff like that?
I could
Well,
see.
hopefully some things will be banned by then.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
We can only hope. And those tournaments will serve as a sort of like testing ground for new strategies, I'm sure. I mean, we've definitely seen a lot of interesting stuff in this first tournament already, with the broken things included.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. For those who don't know, E4 Flint hosted the first tournament of Balance Hackmons a while back, and and it's been pretty interesting so far. And but that's why I like Balance Hackmons in tournaments, because like, you know, it's the sandbox tier, right? So like I find tournaments help encourage like Balance Hackmon players to think outside of the box, because yeah, you could run your standard like general meta sets, but like a lot of people prep for those sets, right? So like thinking intuitively really gives is really advantageous due to like you, so you can like surprise your opponent, and that's how you can net some wins sometimes. Which that's what I like about tournaments for Balance Hackmons.
Like Balance Hackmons, honestly, it's the scariest tournament scene for me.
Yeah.
At least with standard formats, you sort of know what you could expect. Like
Pretty
for
much,
this, it's like he could bring offensive Reggie Steele, as bad as that is, you know.
And then just sweep,
I mean, you never know when you've got a really good Groudon set and your opponent might be running Flashfire Buzzwole or Fur Coat Tapu Fini if it's Motherlode.
Motherlode, he loves that set, yeah.
Hey, Tapu Fini's still gonna take that meta by storm.
But
you should see
that's
some of the things. Yeah, because you're gonna talk about this anyway. Everyone's working on like a Balance Hackmon's Battle Factory right now. That Scarf Why Not kind of started up, and that's a really interesting place to just look and see all the different sets that other people are using.
Yeah, it's got a really good thing of sets. They should post it when it's done. They should post it sort of like to the forums, I think, actually.
Yeah,
help a lot
I think
of
I'll post it.
Yeah, it's just like a set archive.
Yeah.
And when you get to the bottom, you start to see the really experimental, in quotes, stuff.
Yeah, it's like desolate land mega god vibe in there.
Right? So yeah, I find that
you get all the good VH.
Hey, we got those memes.
I find it's a cool option for like new players just to test out, you know, before team building themselves, to see what sets are available to be used, what's good, you know.
Yeah,
so
it'll definitely be good for the meta overall. Like just bringing new players, like you said.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can get that implemented on Showdown sometime.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I know it should be up soon. And also the viability rankings. I don't know what E4 Flint is going to post the resource thread, but that should be up soon for new players. I'll link it down below when it's up. Yeah. I'll link it. Yeah. So we're almost done with that. So that should help new players too, just see what's good, what's not, what you should account for. So yeah, it'll be fun.
A lot of cool stuff this gen.
Yeah, I find like I mentioned this in the Discord, but I find this generation we really like develop the metagame so much faster than in Gen 6. Like I know the meta's still fresh, we still have sets to discover, right? Because it's Balance Hackmons, you never know. But like already, I find like we pretty much like almost touched up on everything, you know, like everything good, like you know that's really good.
It's true. Like. But the only things I could sort of see developing from here is sort of like random C-team sets, like physical Primal Kyogre and shit like that.
Oh my god. Don't remind me of last generation.
Oh my god.
And then also
Yeah.
Stakeout, I think, still has a lot of untapped potential.
Oh yeah, I'm
Yeah.
waiting for the
Yeah,
special like
Stakeout
mixed
is like
Stakeout users.
Stakeout is low key broken. Honestly, it's insane. It's choice bad,
Yeah.
choice scarf, primal groudon with Stakeout is insane.
The
I want
fact
to see people
that-
use Mega Garchomp for that. It's an idea PDT gave me, Stakeout Mega Chomp. I think that's a good idea.
doesn't sound
Mhm.
bad at all actually, with that 170
Yeah.
attack stat. But I mean, like the fact
Yeah.
that Stakeout Primal Groudon with choice band is like over 90 to Primal or what's Zygarde. That's pretty disgusting.
It's absurd.
It's crazy.
Ah well.
So I think we touched up on pretty much everything. So I want to thank you guys for joining me and discussing balanced Hackmons, and hopefully we could do another podcast after, let's say, OMGS to just discuss how the meta transitioned after hopefully a few bans and you know, metagame trends occur. So thank you guys for joining me, and yeah,
Thank you for having
like
us.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, subscribe, and share the video if you enjoyed. And yeah, thanks.